You're listening to the AdCast, the podcast for marketers and advertisers, with your host, Eric Elliott.
All right, welcome to this special edition of the AdCast. Today I have someone really special in the building with me, Mr. George Sink from George Sink Injury Lawyers. Mr. Sink, thank you for being here.
Eric, thank you so much for asking me.
Oh man, we got a lot to dive into today. You are very well known throughout South Carolina, also through Georgia. But for the folks who are living under a rock, would you be so kind to kind of tell these folks about you and about George Sink Injury Lawyers?
Okay. Where should I start? Where I was born and that sort of thing, or
just to kind of tell them about the firm a little bit.
Okay, sure. I came to South Carolina because I was in the Marine Corps, and all my friends were really nice, and they were from the South, and they told me it was warm, and and I was from Michigan, so I don't like the cold, and we came south. I said, "Where's the law school?" And in the South, and I looked at Atlanta and what's the law school? Emory. I went to Emory, then I came here to South Carolina, a little heaven on earth.
Oh yeah.
So I started a law firm after 3 years of apprenticing with someone, and I did litigation for people, the hard stuff, the things that the busy lawyers didn't want to do, the difficult cases. Mm-hmm. But by doing that, I learned all the secrets of how to handle difficult cases. And the easy ones were really easy then. And I knew exactly what to do. And after working on that for a while, I got lucky enough to be asked to represent the police and the fire people, the teachers, and government employees in the Charleston, South Carolina area for an insurance company that insured them when the police, et cetera, got sued for this and that. So I learned while I was there how the insurance companies work. What's important to them? What makes them move for you? What buttons do you push? And boy, was that a great experience. And I learned to like them too. I like those people, but they are in a different business than I am. They're in the business of making money. I'm in the business of making people happy. So it's a different business, but I did know how to talk to them now. So that made it wonderful. And then I thought, well, I'll just help people now. So we switched over, and in the 1990s, we changed even the law firm name to George Sink Injury Lawyer, PA Injury Lawyers. Wow. PA is a professional association. Injury lawyers, meaning that's what we do. That's all we do. We only help the injured people, and we only help them on a contingency fee basis, which means we don't get paid until they do. It comes off the top, and we're very happy that way, and our clientele is too. It keeps growing and growing, and we've expanded now. Through South Carolina and into Georgia.
You definitely expanded. You definitely provide a great service to a lot of people too, because a lot of folks some may not know that you don't get paid unless they get paid. So that's more of an incentive for you to kind of fight for them.
That's it. No, I mean, and we win the case at the beginning. I'll meet them and talk to them, or our representatives will. And right now, we have about 45 lawyers. So
wow.
It's really grown a lot. We will even go to them, and we even do that on the weekends. Saturdays, Sundays, nights. We're available by phone. So if people have trouble, we are there. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's all nines. Whatever your local area code is, it's all nines, baby. So it makes it easy to remember, who to call when you need it. And so that's what we're doing right now, and it's working, I think, because we're different than other law firms. I think other law firms are very good, and they have great lawyers, and I'm not saying I'm better than them at all, any way, shape, or form. But the thing that separates us is we really care about our clients. Every client is a king or a queen. We're very lucky to have them. And I learned early on from a mentor this secret is that, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. If you don't care about someone, they're not going to listen to you. You're not going to be able to help them. And I'm just built that way. And we only hired people who can help people, who care about people, who are hurt personally if you're unhappy. They want to make you happy. And we're striving to do that at all times. So it's not about me bragging about this, bragging about that, I'm Mr. Big Shot. Forget that. Nobody cares about us. They care about themselves, and they want someone who will take care of them in a time of need. That's what I want to do. I want to prove that we care about them. And I think that makes a world of difference in who we are. Maybe other law firms aren't that way.
How did you develop that type of mentality or that thinking for the firm, like the people first mentality? We want to help them. How did that come about? I mean, is that just something that's instilled in you? How did that happen?
My parents came through the Depression, and they did well, but it was, school teacher and factory worker, but they did well by saving. And what happened is I have two younger sisters, and we all went to terrible professionals because my parents saved money. They always bought the cheapest they could find. And I vowed if I ever could be in a position to help somebody, I would be so grateful and so happy and let them know that I'm honored that they would choose us. And I would provide the very best services I could. And the heck with the money. I don't care. The money will come if you behave in a certain way. And the way I wanted to behave was the way I wanted to be treated when I was a youngster and had to go to these terrible dentists and doctors. I didn't like that. So something just happened to me that said if I ever got in that position, I would treat people like kings and queens. Mm-hmm. Like the customer's always right, the client's always right. I want to respect them. I want them to be our friend as well as our client, and send their friends and family to us when they would need it, if unfortunately they would need it. So that's sort of a life philosophy that I've adopted, and if that doesn't suit others, that's fine. Right. There's plenty of good lawyers out there, but this is what separates us from the pack, I think.
Now, you said that your mother and your father were very influential.
Oh, yes.
In you coming up and you growing up, and one of the things that we talked about before we started was just a mentor, because I've heard from lawyers, they kind of say like you gotta find a mentor, and I know there's a lot of attorneys who they look at George Sank injury lawyers and they say like I want to be like that firm, but it doesn't happen overnight.
All right,
for them.
Here's how you do it. You got to go out and find somebody. You have to. And when I did, I was desperate. I went out on my own after the 3 years, and people knew that I tried cases. I would do it, and I'd do a decent job, and I wouldn't embarrass them, and clients would be happy. So they referred a lot to me. Mm-hmm. So these good lawyers who had too many cases, they would ask me to do that. So these lawyers would ask me to do this, and in the process of dealing with them, I'd go to them, they'd explain, this is Mrs. Smith, and she has this and this and this, and we would talk, and I'd say, well, how do you handle this? How do you do that? And then I would go to them and ask them, and one of them was a wonderful human being, and this is where I learned my life lesson. It reinforced the life lesson, actually. He was a tremendous lawyer, and he would ask me to help him with he'd give me the case. I'd try the case for him. Mm-hmm. But I was so impressed with him. He was handsome, athletic. His brother played outfield for the Milwaukee professional baseball team, so the Brewers. He's charming and one of the best lawyers and humans I've ever seen. And so I said, hey, Jack, why didn't you have children? I felt comfortable enough to ask him that. Mm-hmm. I thought we were close. And he said, George, when my wife delivered, the doctor made a mistake. And I looked at him, and because we have medical malpractice claims, and I said, Jack, well, why didn't you sue him? And he looked at me in the eye, and this is a lesson. He said, George, he was my friend. So what did that teach me?
Wow.
It taught me the Bible for our firm is how to win friends and influence people. It's a book by Dale Carnegie, and he taught me how to win friends so you could influence people. And why do you want to influence people? Because I know the path that they should take when they're in a personal injury case. I know what they should do. Now, how do you convey that to them? By being their friend, by giving them the alternatives, explain them to them, and help them to get to the right decision. And that's what Jack did. He realized that I realized at that moment that if someone's not your friend, life is difficult.
I've seen so many people, and in full disclosure, I've seen people leave your firm and they feel like they are with a friend. Not like they're just with an attorney who's talking over them, but they're with a friend. So I've seen that happen throughout your firm. So I think
Suzanne, who
that's a beautiful
was with
thing.
us for 15, 20 years. She just left, and we have a big picture, and everybody signed the white around the big frame and the white. I feel that way too. I mean, it's important. She's important to me. She's not with us anymore. She's retired to take care of her children. But
she was the window to your company, and she did a great job. But
yeah,
still,
I was lucky to have her.
You guys do the same thing, even with your attorneys too. It's all about making a friend.
That's right, and that's one of the qualities we look for when we train them. I've had a couple of the most talented people. Actually, two of them ended up in jail. They're just hard-headed and difficult to deal with, and it's just, I don't know how people feel about that, but it puts me off a little bit. So I think being warm, how to win friends and influence people. If you can't make a friend, if you can't be a friend, you can't influence them.
Right.
And so you have to be a influencer. So how do you do it? Be nice, be helpful, take their phone calls, give them the advice and the consolation and the consoling. Be a human being. Don't be a lawyer. I mean, my goodness, they just suffered terrible, and they're not letting on. They won't let you know. So you got to get it out of them in a nice way, and then sympathize with them, and help them in any possible way that you can.
What's some advice that you would give a young lawyer or a young law firm? I mean, because you've seen a lot, and like you said, you want to be able to win a friend. But what's some advice, some core advice that you tell them you need to stick to this, man?
I got lucky. I got two things that worked out for me great. After I left my apprenticeship, I went out on my own, and the world knew that I could try cases. So I tried all the difficult ones. So I got to learn from the plaintiff side, the people that are injured side, what the problems are. And then I got to work for the insurance company. So now I know what's important to them, what makes their world go round. Why do you settle more cases in December than you do in February? Because they're adjusting their books. I know all this stuff. I know when to, what to do to make the world work for my clients. So all these are valuable lessons. If you can possibly get some experience under the tutelage of someone who knows what they're doing and cares about you, and you got to ask them. You're going to have to ask them, would you be my mentor? Would you help me out? Would you mind if I called you? And I was so lucky. I was blessed to have so many people help me out along the way. I can't count them, but I think it's just a mutual respect too, because I was really trying,
right.
But they could see this is a nice person. He needs some experience and some help here. Try this, and I would do that. And I go to these seminars too. They have CLEs with the continuing legal education, and I ended up not like some of the people that are reading the newspapers. I took notes, and the hardest part about this is actually doing something. Many people go and they learn, but they don't do anything. You got to do something.
Got to put in the work. 2
or 3 things out of that seminar, not 78. Don't bring back the book and say, I'll do it all. Don't do it. What you want to do is you want to incorporate 1 or 2 things from that seminar or from that meeting that I had with Jack, for example. That led me to Dale Carnegie. I'm recommending his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. But Jack taught me that. The seminars taught me technical things that you should do and know, and that kept me up with the latest developments. And I would actually do the things. I'd go back and I'd say, I got to do 1 or 2 things. And I've been at a ton of seminars where they say, why do you think I'm telling you everything, all my secrets? Because none of you are going to do anything about it. And there is 3 or 4 people that will out of the whole audience, and I'm one of them. So I'd advise them to actually do. Instead of in school, you have to learn and regurgitate. Talking, no, don't talk anymore. Just do something. Do it. Get your habits down. Get your right habits. What if you're in sports? You know, Eric, you played sports.
Yeah.
You got to get your basics down. Your fundamentals. Get them straight so that it's second nature. You never think about it. Get your fundamentals down so that you can function without, when the pressure's on,
you got
it. Bam. You know, you don't even have to think about it because that's what you're doing. So get those down. And character, too, I think counts. Character is your fate. Character, what does that mean? That means, are you going to cheat, lie, steal? Are you going to be that weasel that you can't trust? Or are you going to be someone that someone can look to as a source of strength and honesty, and someone will take care of you? So this is something that would help you with your home life. It helps you in your business life. So character. So what's the formula? The formula, I think, is work squared. So work, 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 work. Then you need talent and you need some luck. So how do you get lucky? Some people say the harder you work, the luckier you get. So maybe that's true, but every now and then you get a break. Like, I couldn't have been a lawyer without getting some luck. No, I was a school teacher in downtown Detroit, and I was broke. I was on the way to, I was going to be a PhD in history. I've got a master's degree in history. I love it. It's my love, one of my loves. And so then Vietnam War came up. I joined the Marine Corps, went overseas twice, so I didn't spend any money. I was in Vietnam. And then I ended up got medevaced and ended up in a veterans hospital for half a year. So for about 2 years there, I didn't have any money to spend. So I could put that in the bank, and then I got the GI Bill. So I said, I want to live my dream. And my dream
this is great
always,
hearing about your,
it's always
your life.
I couldn't get there because my parents were, I told you, they were not rich. And so we ran out of money, and I ran out of money, and I got great education thanks to my mom. And she is a big part of my life. She was born in 1915, so women couldn't vote then. She talked to her dad. They had 5 children, Polish immigrants, and said, "Hey, Dad, I want to go to college." He said, "No, you're 18, you're a woman, you're on your own. That's how it is." So she said, "Okay." So she figured it out. She graduated from Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan when she was 17.
Wow.
So she was on
17.
her own, but she had her college degree. So she figured it out. So she taught me to work. My dad was charming, handsome, a great dancer, a terrific athlete, and a wonderful human being. So I got some of that from him. And so that's where I came from. And they were very straight-laced with me and forced me to be good and helped to mold me along the lines that I was hoping that I could do them proud.
And you definitely do. And what we're going to do now is we're going to come back and we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and I want to hear a little bit more about the Marine.
All right.
Let's
do it. Yes, sir.
You don't need a marketing agency. You do deserve very important placement. VIP Marketing and Advertising is a cutting-edge strategic digital, creative, media, and marketing partner that provides services for businesses of all sizes. To stay up to date on the latest marketing news, subscribe for email updates at veryimportantplacement.com.
Got hurt in a car wreck, didn't know what to do. And that's when I decided I'm gonna call you. But remember, if you're hurt in a car wreck, call George Sink Injury Lawyers at all 9s. Get George Sink Law Firm on the line. Call 999-9999. Oh, yeah.
Paid actors, George Sink Injury Lawyers, 7053 Rivers Avenue, North Charleston.
I'm gonna call you.
All right, so Mr. Sink, we are back. We had a pretty loaded first half. We talked about how the firm started, you being a teacher. And one of the things that you advertise a lot in a lot of your commercials and a lot of people gained a lot of respect for was they didn't know that George Sink was also a Marine and you provided service to our country. So tell me, how did that come about, where you felt proud enough to say, I'm a Marine, because I see so many people, they actually love that part of knowing that you were a Marine and you served our country.
Maybe it's something to do with how did it happen, and it happened in a blink of an eye. I was teaching my kids, 7th and 8th graders, and I saw, in 1966, I saw the Marines landing in Da Nang, and I started crying, and I was I was teaching them stuff about the news, and one of them said, "Are you all right?" And I said, "Yes, I lied. I'm sorry." But I realized right then that there's something in me it's a sense of duty, and I'm a duty-driven person. Like, what's your duty? What is your duty in this situation? Mm-hmm. And my duty in that situation was to help my country when my country needed help. And I said, well, I could join the Navy or the Army or the Air Force. But I did apply to the Navy just to see, and they took the test away from me. He said, "You come tomorrow, we'll swear you in." And of course went to the Marine Corps, and they said, "I don't know about you. You know, you had a traffic ticket here a couple of years ago, so you're pretty shaky." And I said, "Okay, I'll show you." But I went home and had a dream that I was not part of the action. So I knew if I joined the Marine Corps, I would serve my country best by being onshore in Vietnam, not on the sea, watching it from. So I couldn't. There's only one choice, and that was the Marine Corps. And they were fine. They were a wonderful group. It was the best experience I've ever had with a group of men. They're fine. I was a Marine Corps officer, and they're the finest group of men I've ever been associated with. Well Lawyers are wonderful, really are. But these were extremely focused, fine, athletic, determined, accomplished leaders. And I was very impressed, and it forced my game up immeasurably to be around. One of them was a cornerback for Notre Dame, and et cetera. These were terrific people, and we had to do all kinds of athletic stuff to qualify. So it was a great challenge and a thrill and an honor, and to this day, to be able to say I am a Marine, and I am. Wow. It never will leave me. And it was a wonderful experience, and it allowed me to get the GI Bill and to save some money because I was in Vietnam, so I didn't have any chance to spend money. So it just went in the bank account, and I got to live my dream, which was to be a lawyer. I always wanted to be a lawyer, and it was just in my bones. I don't know why. I just wanted to be. It's one of those lucky things. I have a son who wanted to be a computer engineer, and he is a computer engineer in Silicon Valley right now. So he knows what he wants, and that's a gift. So for all of you out there, follow your bliss. Whatever you think is your best thing is probably going to be a wonderful way to live your life. And along those lines, my career changed when I was struggling to make money, make a living. I decided I'd never do anything that didn't make me happy. And that changed my whole life and my whole career. And I think it's a wonderful piece of advice I'll pass on to anybody who's interested. It changed my life. It was a little step back because there was some money-making things I did that were uncomfortable for me. So I said, I'm not going to do it anymore. And I'll just do things that make me happy. And I'm happy. I'm happy all the time now. So it's because I'm doing anything that makes me happy, which is to keep developing relationships with clients and growing our firm and helping the communities that we're involved in and doing various things that you might be proud to say that you're doing. So,
wow. Well, thank you. Well, I want to just tell you thank you for serving our country, and also to the many men and women out there, thank you as well, too.
Thank you.
I want to jump into a topic because you are probably one of the most influential people when it comes into attorney advertising around. What do you think is the difference? And if I could just put us into a time machine and take us back to like the late 90s or the early 2000s, right? What was marketing and advertising like then?
No, it's pretty stiff and ancient, and it's just like George Washington wore a wig and wooden teeth and stuff like that. It was different, and it was awkward for me, and I was nervous, and I thought having a press suit would be the most important thing I could do. And I learned that it's not. Being genuine and warm and helping is more important. So being human as opposed to being a stiff lawyer is the deal. But it was awkward, and it was ancient. When you look back 20 years, it's different. I have some old stuff it's different, and it's developed now into the stuff. Any advertising I do, I hope is fun, and I hope it also links our all nines, the number, to anybody who's interested in getting a hold of us. Now, why that? Because it's easy to remember, and I want to make it easy for people who are in need of legal help. And to get a hold of us. So they know that it's all nines. George Sink, all nines. I'm trying to make that connection, and I'm trying to have fun. We do various commercials that are hopefully make people laugh and enjoy, and let them know that we're really nice people and we'll be able to help them in their time of need. So what was it like back then? It wasn't like that so much. It was real stiff. Hi, I'm George Sink. That sort of stuff. And finally, I grew out of that. To, hey, I'm George Sink. Let me give you the scoop. You can tell them the truth. Here's the deal. Here's what's going on.
The approach is definitely different now.
Yeah, I like it more.
Do you think like back then, like let's just say, there was a time where you never saw lawyers on television, you never saw hospitals advertise, and now you see lawyers and hospitals advertise on television. Do you think, because like back then, like they probably saw it as, oh, it's a disgrace to the profession to advertise, but now it's like, it's so common.
100%. Back then, it was a disgrace to the profession. It's bad. And it's changed now. So people evolve, people learn, people grow, and that's a very encouraging development.
And the law firm is a business. You got to promote it.
You do. You want to let them know this is what we do. We help people who are injured. George Sink, PA, injury lawyers. That's what we do. We help people who are injured. Automobile wrecks, people hurt on the job, various other injuries. There's lots of them, and we help them all. So we advertise what we do in our name. And we do it in a way that I hope will let people know that we're warm, welcoming, friendly, helpful, and experienced.
Oh, well said. Now let's move into 2019 right now, because there's so many different dynamics now from advertising in the late 90s or the early 2000s. What is advertising like now?
Well, I have a friend, Eric Elliott, who I ask about that. He runs the most wonderful marketing group
that you
can find. And when I need to know, really, I ask people. Well, that's called humility. You know, what am I good at? And if you don't know, do you know someone who does know? And in that area, I'd ask Eric Elliott. But just from my experience, it looks like television, like the phone books, maybe having its last days. You know what I mean? It's going downhill as something that you would use for an advertising medium, and perhaps the over the top solution is something
OTT.
there. OTT. That will work with it. I'm not sure how that turns out, but it's looking like something's happening there. And the internet seems to be growing in proportion to the young people who are all the time on the internet and have a tremendous facility with it. And so you have to have a better presence there. We went to billboards and radio. These are good things. We do a lot of in the community activities. I just had some orphans over, and the police chief from North Charleston visited us, along with a Reverend Lance Johnson from the Rock Church. All these people are trying to help in the community. We try to help in the community also. And these are things that I do just because it's wonderful. It's almost like a vacation for me. It's like fun. And as a child, I needed all the help and guidance I could get. My parents were strong and did help me. And I think I have to pay that forward, like help anybody who's in a position who wants it, who would profit from it. So that's what marketing is now. And the best thing to do is to be nice to your clients. Yeah. Because they'll send their friends and family if they get treated right. And
they have the final say-so.
Well, you feel good too, and when you meet them and when you talk to them, you say, well, that's my friend. And that makes them feel like we're friends, and they feel comfortable doing that. And you feel great coming to work, and you're helping people, and you have a nice dialogue with them, and life is good for them, life is good for you, and it's a win-win.
Right. We talked about kind of how television, Yellow Pages, some of these things are how Yellow Pages has declined. Television, the audience isn't growing so much because their attention's elsewhere. Do you still find that television's still effective?
I think so, but you have to pick and choose, and that's why having people who are expert at this, like you, Eric, to advise me. And, we've had discussions, and you've told me this, that, and the other thing, so I learned from you, and there's no shame in that. People go to lawyers because they just don't know the tricks of the insurance company, you know. So I do, and I don't know the tricks of the media, and you do, and you know which way the wind's blowing, and so I think it's critical to be humble and ask for advice from people who know what they're doing. Surround yourself with those people and let them carry you to success. Modify it by your, how do you say it, your character. We don't do anything dishonest, illegal, immoral, unethical. I ain't going to do it. Let somebody else do it, you know.
Wow.
I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do it.
No, 100%.
So that's the end of that. But if within those confines, if it's all that, I'm gonna consider doing it. And you get good advice from people who care about you, and you try to be happy and have fun along the way, and life gets to be a joy.
Wow. What we're going to do is we're going to actually end episode 1 today. I think we had a whole lot. I think we got enough for some more.
Oh,
let's do another
wonderful.
episode.
Thank
Let's do
you
another
so much.
episode.
Thanks for.
Can you stick around a little more?
Whatever you want.
All right, let's do it.
You
All
got
right,
it.
so we're going to end episode 1, and we'll be back next week with another episode of the AdCast with attorney George Sink.
I'll be sitting right here.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the AdCast, the podcast for marketers and advertisers. Please be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever podcasts are found.
Copyright VIP Marketing and Advertising. Produced by Craft Creative.
When all eyes are on you, make it count. From audio to video to graphic design and more, Craft Creative can do it all. We don't make commercials, we craft creative. See what we can do for you at wecraftcreative.com.